Washington's latest taxpayer-funded bailout, $1.7 billion for the Federal Housing Administration, will be the focus of a House Financial Services Committee hearing tomorrow. Its chairman, Representative Jeb Hensarling, a Republican from Texas, now joins Peter Barnes for this exclusive interview. Peter.
Well, hey, Lori, thank you, and you teed that up nicely. So let's get to questions right now from Chairman Hensarling. Chairman Hensarling, thanks for joining us on Fox Business. What is the goal of your hearing tomorrow on the FHA?
Well, as you probably know, FHA is about to receive their first bailout ever, $1.7 billion. Basically for a government agency that told us for years they would never need a bailout. We have to have a sustainable housing policy in America, one that is sustainable for homeowners so we don't put people homes they can't afford to keep, one that is sustainable for taxpayers so they never again have to engage in bailouts of Fannie and Freddie and FHA, and then finally sustainable for our economy. We've got to get off of this boom-bust bailout cycle. And regrettably, Congress has been misled for years as to the true fiscal health of the FHA, and so we're going to have the director of the FHA, Carol Galante, before our committee tomorrow, try to get to the bottom of this and find out why aren't they using the tools that are available to them to make FHA more fiscally sound, because a broke FHA does no one any good.
Well, as you know, the Commissioner Galante wrote a letter to Congress when they needed to tap this $1.7 billion from the Treasury and suggested this was just a temporary problem. That in fact, I'll read from the letter. This required mandatory appropriation is an accounting transfer and does not reflect an up-to-date view of the insurance fund's performance, its long-term fiscal health, or its current cash position. It's because the calculation used to determine whether a mandatory appropriation, a transfer from the Treasury, is required is based on assumptions about loan performance and recoveries made in December 2012 and does not incorporate recent performance improvements or the current economic factors, and says that it's had improvements across the board and it will update Congress on its financial status in a couple of months. What about that?
Well, with all due respect to Ms. Galante, that's a lot of Washington talk. We have heard this before. We've had a lot of sweet nothings whispered into our ear for years. I don't mean to ascribe any malevolent intent here, but for years FHA has been making predictions about their fiscal sustainability, and they have been consistently wrong and hugely wrong. What they hear on Main Street is bailout. The people who are listening to this show, again, that's a lot of Washington talk, but the bottom line is, at a time when our nation has taken on more debt in the previous 4 years than our nation's first 200, I can visualize the national debt clock, which I keep going in our committee hearing room. It's just turning faster and faster, and now part of the problem is the FHA. They are not on a sustainable path. We've got to get off the boom-bust bailout cycle, and so that has to mean that they have to go back. They have to look at their criteria for down payments, for credit scores, on lender indemnification, and a whole host of other options. But again, a broke FHA does no one any good.
Does it need legislation from Congress?
Oh, it absolutely needs legislation from Congress, which is one of the reasons that in August the House Financial Services Committee passed the PATH Act, which is an acronym for Protecting American Taxpayers and Homeowners. And what we do in that particular legislation is we make sure that FHA becomes solvent and stays solvent. We break it out as an independent agency so it can get out from under the political control of those who wish to politicize the allocation of credit in our society. And we also make sure that it lives up to its billing to serve first-time home buyers and low and moderate income individuals. I mean, right now, you've got FHA insuring homes of millionaires, homes that are valued in excess of $700,000. And I got whole counties in my congressional district which I doubt have any homes valued at $700,000 on the county tax rolls.
In the last 30 seconds, you're going to need cooperation from the Senate, legislation of the Senate. The Banking Committee is looking at this, has passed an FHA reform bill, and you need help from the White House. I mean, what are the prospects of bipartisan FHA reform and GSE Fannie Freddie reform?
Well, relatively speaking, I'm more optimistic about those prospects than I am about other prospects. Clearly, the Senate seems to be moving in that direction. The White House has indicated they're interested. We've already passed a bill out of committee. We have to get it to the floor soon. And in order to be a member of Congress, you got to be an optimist.
All right. Chairman Hensarling of the House Financial Services Committee, thanks for joining us, and we'll be watching this. And Lori and Adam, we're going to stay here with just for a few more minutes and do an additional series of questions for the chairman for about 5 more minutes that we're going to post exclusively to the website, foxbusiness.com, later today. So look for that.